We'll go ahead and get started. The speakers today are going to be myself. I'm the Isabella County Sheriff Mioduszewski. I've been asked to spell my last name. It's Mioduszewski. Also speaking today is the Mount Pleasant Post Commander, Chris Stolicker. His last name spelling is Stolicker. Chris Stolicker. Well, good afternoon. As you know, at approximately 12 noon yesterday, the Isabella County Sheriff's Department received a missing person complaint. The missing person was identified as Rebekah Jane Gay, a 24-year-old female from Mount Pleasant. It had been reported that she hadn't been seen since 6:50 yesterday morning, so that's 6:50 a.m. yesterday morning. She was supposed to have been at work at 8 a.m., did not appear at work, and that was very unlike her. She was an individual that was always excited to go to work. She received a promotion recently, and her employer figured there had to be some sort of problem by her not showing up to work and not calling them ahead of time. Once the investigation begun, family, friends, and neighbors were contacted to try to determine if any of them might know where she was, if any of them had any contact within the past 24 hours. We were looking for any type of leads on her whereabouts. Through the investigation, a person of interest was identified. That person was an acquaintance of Rebekah's, and I know it's going to be a question here, it was not an intimate acquaintance, it was an acquaintance, somebody that she had known, and she had known for some time. As a result of the investigation, search warrants were obtained for not only Rebekah's house, but that of her acquaintance. Once those search warrants were executed, the person of interest then became a suspect based on some property and some evidence that were located at both scenes. The Michigan State Police Crime Lab from Lansing responded late last night, and they were able to collect evidence both at the victim's residence as well as the suspect's residence. Upon further interviewing of the suspect, it was determined that Rebekah was the victim of a homicide. The incident actually occurred in her residence sometime between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. yesterday morning, early morning on Halloween. The suspect had hit her over the head several times with a rubber mallet, and while she fell to the floor, he then took a large zip tie, put it around her neck, and strangled her. He then took Rebekah's body, transported her body in his pickup to a wooded area near Pickard Road and Coldwater Road, located in Brookfield Township. He actually hit her in a deep ditch behind some trees. He had also disposed of the mallet and some bloody towels that he used to try to clean up the mess at Rebekah's home. He ditched those near Pickard Road and Woodruff Road. The victim's cell phone was located in a trash dumpster near her residence. The Michigan State Police Crime Lab from Lansing was called back once again this morning, and they are currently processing the 3 crime scenes. Unfortunately, her 3-year-old son, Rebekah's 3-year-old son, was inside the residence at the time of the incident. It is unknown at this time whether he heard or saw anything. He will be interviewed a little bit later. At this point, we don't know what he is able to communicate or even if he has any information on the incident. The suspect, who's actually being arraigned as we speak, is a 55-year-old Mount Pleasant man, and he has been arrested. He was arrested roughly around 8 o'clock this morning. He's currently lodged in the Isabella County Jail on open murder charges as well as first-degree premeditated homicide. Over the course of the 27-hour investigation, 5 search warrants have been issued, and we had to collect evidence from 7 different crime scene locations. The suspect, as I said, is being arraigned as we speak. I will be emailing you his name and mugshot once I get confirmation that the arraignment is concluded. Before I turn the podium over to Lieutenant Stolicker, I'd like to publicly thank him for the resources he's been able to help us with. In a 27-hour operation, as you can imagine, there's no agency in Isabella County that can handle the manpower and the necessary, especially when you're talking about 7 different crime scenes. Fortunately, Lieutenant Stolicker, based on a phone call, was able to rally up some of his folks. He helped us get a polygraph operator as well as the crime lab out of Lansing. So I'd like to publicly thank him for his cooperation. We're very fortunate that we've got a really good working relationship with area law enforcement agencies, and because of that, from the hard work of detectives interviewing the suspect and putting pieces together of the crime, we didn't have much to begin with, and it's unfortunate. I don't like the ending, but at least we have the suspect now lodged on murder charges. So I'll go ahead and turn over the podium to Lieutenant Stolicker.
Just want to commend the sheriff and his staff, his deputies, detective, troopers from the Mount Pleasant Post, detectives from the Mount Pleasant Post. The crime lab was really an example of a cooperative effort of everybody involved, and under the unfortunate circumstances, we can take a little satisfaction in a quick resolve and a suspect being arrested within just a few hours. So thanks again to the Sheriff's Department and all the hard work of the last 27 hours of everybody involved.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Now I'll take any questions that you might have.
It seems that since this was such a quick turnaround, was the suspect cooperative? I mean, it'd be hard to find the mallet and the bloody towels that so far away in the woods without someone telling you where they were, it seems to me.
Initially, no. He was not cooperative at all. But I think, once again, I credit Detective Patterson, who basically was the one that was interviewing him. We were finally, really this morning, able to get him to speak a little more about the crime. But originally, he had lied to us and was not cooperative at all. Yes, sir.
How did you know something? How did you know? Okay.
They had, I think, through a family member. My understanding is that they did not live that far apart. Rebekah, like I say, did know him and he knew her. Yes, sir.
Do we have a motive yet?
My understanding is that the suspect, over the course of the last few weeks, had been, I guess the easiest way to say it would be, he fantasized about her. So I think that kind of tied into what he did. Yes.
Do we know how her car got to the restaurant nearby?
Yeah, actually it was the barn door, which is basically a bar saloon. They do offer food. Actually, the suspect took her vehicle and parked it there after the homicide was committed.
Did she live with anybody besides her son?
To my knowledge, no. I believe it's just the two of them that lived in the residence. Yes,
Sheriff, has the Sheriff's Department or the state police had any previous contact with the suspect?
As far as I know, I can only speak for my department. I don't believe we've had contact. I can tell you I think he has had contact over the years with law enforcement agencies, but I don't believe that my department has had any contact with that.
Not to my knowledge, the detectives are still working on compiling that information, but not locally.
Where exactly was her body found in the Stolicker?
She was actually, there's a pretty good sized ditch off of Coldwater Road just south of Pickard on the east side. She was actually down there behind, there's some fairly tall pine trees. She was actually just lying back there.
Was it search dogs that were able to discover the body?
No, we were actually, through the interview process, were able to get the location from the suspect. I should mention, we did last night use one of Lieutenant Stolicker's canine handlers. They did do an area search, but unfortunately she was not in that area, so she was not located at that point. Yes?
You kind of touched on it, but so the son is completely fine, unharmed, or anything like that?
Yes. In fact, actually, the suspect took care of the son, and it was the day that his father was to get him. Evidently, his mother and father were divorced, or I'm not sure what they did. Anyway, he lives in Midland. Actually, the suspect ended up getting the young man dressed, and it was his day to watch him, so he brought him to Meyer where they met, and he gave the son to the father. So, no, the suspect, in fact, really liked the young man, so he was really in no danger.
The suspect, he lives in that part, that little bush.
Yes,
Like,
yes.
In relation, how many doors down, or near?
It's several doors down. It's very close. It's several doors down. Any other questions?
Can you provide more information about the evidence that was recovered in both locations?
Blood spatter. Obviously, with the blows to the head, there was some bleeding. Blood was found actually in her residence. In his pickup was also a necklace that looked like a little golden chain that was evidently on her, and it was found in the bed in his pickup there. So but basically it was the blood that kind of tipped us off that he was involved. That's when he became a person of interest with suspect. Yes.
So the 3 scenes, just to clarify, are in the wooded area in the corner there, where she was found, her place in his place.
No, I guess the 3 scenes would be where the body was located, Coldwater and Pickard, where he had disposed of the mallet that he used, as well as some bloody towels. That was Woodruff and Pickard. And the 3rd crime scene would have been the dumpster where her phone was located. He had turned her phone off and threw her cell phone in the dumpster.
Where was the dumpster?
Pardon me?
Where was the dumpster?
In the mobile home park where she lived. I just got information that actually the suspect's arraignment has been concluded. As I told you, he has been charged with open murder and also murder first degree premeditated. The suspect's name is a John Douglas White, W-H-I-T-E. He is a 55-year-old male with a Mount Pleasant address.
Don with an H.
Pardon me?
J-O-H-N.
Yes, J-O-H-N, Douglas, common spelling, White. Like I said, I will be sending you a mugshot once it's concluded. I get back to the office, as well as what he's charged with. Yes.
Can you maybe comment on the mental state of this suspect?
No, I would rather not comment at this point.
You said that the crime actually happened in her home.
Yes. Yeah.
Where exactly in her home? I mean, did it look like there was forced entry when she was sleeping? I mean, it's 4 o'clock in the morning. I mean, do we know how
Yes.
she got in and then where in the home it her and either times? Or?
Yeah. To answer your question, there was no forced entry. There was a door that had been unlocked, so he entered through the unlocked door. The initial assault happened in the hallway. He then ended up dragging her to the kitchen. And from there, like I said, he did, and I should mention too, after he disposed of the body and the towels and mallet, he did go back and try to clean up the blood as well as he could.
You said he been saying anything about her? Is there anything to say that he might have been stalking her or he been crying on her line or anything like that?
We have no information to come to that conclusion at this point. He has said, like I say, he had fantasized over the last 2 to 3 weeks about her. Yes.
You said the 3-year-old was home at the time, correct?
Yes.
Is there any way that he's going to be a witness, or is he?
You know, at this point, we don't know. He will be interviewed, and because of his age, we have to do a forensic interview. There's certain protocols we have to follow with somebody that young. We will interview him and try to determine if he heard anything, saw anything. Hopefully he was sleeping and didn't hear or see anything, but I don't know that right now.
Was he harmed in any way?
No, absolutely not. In fact, actually, the suspect ended up putting him in his Halloween costume before he brought him to his father, so he was not harmed at all.
What exactly is the murder weapon? Was it the mallet or was it the zip tie?
There will be an autopsy that's going to be done most likely tomorrow. I don't want to name. I don't know what the ultimate cause of death would be, whether it was a combination of loss of blood or I don't know. I just have no idea at this point.
Isabella County is not known for having a lot of homicides. I mean, what kind of toll does this take on you guys and the community? Everyone I've talked to is just completely shocked.
You're right. We live in a fairly safe community. It's very devastating, not only for the public, but especially law enforcement officers. I can speak to my folks. I've had my detective and I've had some deputies that put in about a 23, 24-hour day. In fact, actually, one of them's going on closer to 30 hours now. He's still there doing some reports. So very traumatic. My condolences go out to the family. It's a very unfortunate situation. It doesn't happen that often in Isabella County, but we have dealt with over the last few years, unfortunately, some homicides.
Now, when I hear rubber mallet, I think of maybe part of a Halloween costume. What is What is rubber mat?
It's a very hard rubber end. It looks like basically a hammer. You know, it's got two flat ends. It's like just a mallet, if you can picture a croquet mallet, but it's hard rubber at the end.
He hit her several times with that to the head.
Yes. Yes, sir.
When the father took the child out, did he notice anything out of the ordinary?
No. No.
Pick them up at fire.
Yeah. And it wasn't unusual because of Rebekah having to work that this individual would bring the son with the father. So at that point, there was nothing that really keyed in the father on anything going on.
So she trusted this guy enough. You know, you said acquaintance, but he's technically like a friend, right? If she trusts him enough with the kid to bring to her